we go. Hello.
Hi.
All right, welcome. Hopefully, everyone is able to join us. I'll give everybody a few minutes to see. It said I had someone tell me they were having trouble. It said the video is having a hard time. So we'll see if it
Oh,
clicks back on here in a second. So, all right. Well, just in case, I'll kind of do a quick update or introduction here. Just in case you haven't joined us before, my name is Patty Brockschmidt, and I and my friends started, hi Mary, that started the RoseyDaze chats just because of the year that I've had. And I had so many people that were amazing to me in a situation that we went through that we thought this would be a great way to pay it forward. So, anyway, we have had looking at life through a positive lens. Hi, Joanne. We've had how to get out of the chapter that you're in, that you don't have to stay in it. You can keep moving in your story. And then tonight, I'm very excited because Sharon Stark is joining me talking about photo organizing. And so I met Sharon. She's a fellow co-photo organizer, and we've worked together on some different projects. And she is amazing and knowledgeable, and I'm very excited to have her here with me. So welcome.
yeah, thank you. Happy to be here.
Yay! Very good. All right, we've got a couple people here. So while we are getting started here, let's see. Um, give it another minute. I know I had one person that was having a hard time getting logged on. Um, that said it wasn't showing correctly. So hopefully that won't take but a second. Um, just for people to know, and I'll tell everybody at the end as well. But tonight is photo organizing, and it'll be nice because people are going to be able to access this after the fact. So if you missed the ones before, you can always go back and see them. Um, Very good. Hi, Lana. Um, the so tonight is photo organizing. In 2 weeks, we're doing a virtual wine tasting, and I'm going to be getting information out to everybody on either how to do it virtually or how to join us in person. So we're going to be doing both. And then on September 29th, and 2 weeks after that, we're going to be talking about meditation with Angie Eckenroth. So I will put this up later. But all right, so for the people, we'll ask the ones that are watching now. How many photos do you think that you have? We'll see. How many photos do you think that you have, whether printed photos or digital photos? I guess you can give us total or you can split them up. So what do you think? I was trying to figure. I know how many. Well, I know in one location how many photos I have digitally. Mary, Joanne, Lana. What about you? I'll ask them. Anybody else that's watching? How many photos do you think you have? Curious. Give them a minute. Thousands. Yeah, I'm sure you do. Too many to count, Mary says. Yeah. I know in my one digital backup, Sharon, I'll ask you. I know I have over 187,000.
Okay. you have me beat, but you're a photographer,
I am a
so that makes more sense.
so I not only have mine, but I have the ones of people that I've taken over the years and teams and different things. So maybe that doesn't count. So other unsure, guessing several thousands. Too many to count. Yes. So there are lots of those, hundreds, if not thousands. Oh, I believe it. I know. And even on phones, the number is astronomical. So
It is. It's shocking when you look and you actually see. Like I have that many. Are you kidding me? How did that happen?
yeah. Lisa says shelves and a room full. So yes, I totally understand.
Yeah.
I'm there as well. Okay, so the next question for everybody is what do you want to do with them? Yeah. Yes. Oh, definitely. I need, it's kind of and Sharon and I talked about this, how they joke that sometimes doctors are not the best patients. Photo organizers may not be the best at helping themselves.
I would agree with that. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's embarrassing.
But it's easier to help someone else.
It is. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
question, those of you watching, what do you want to do with your photos? Do you want to put them on the wall? Do you want to make albums out of them? Are you using them for legacy, genealogy? What do you think? See, Lana says organize and remove duplicates. Yes. A variety of things. Lisa says books and digitally and get sorted for each of the kids. Yeah. Great ideas.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else have ideas what you want to do with them? Joanne, I want to get them organized, easily accessible to view them. Yeah, and that's kind of the big thing. Yeah, Lisa. Yes, yes, yes. Kind of the cool thing is because when you've got them, if nobody can see them, they're just hidden, and that makes me sad. I love photos, so I would love to have them everywhere. So, so the question is, what's stopping you? What's stopping you? So Sharon, I'll kind of let you kind of take it from there.
Yeah, that is a key question. A lot of times when people call me, they tell me their motivation and they tell me what's stopping them or what has stopped them or what now is motivating them to do it. So, I mean, there's a whole host of things that can come into play with this and what's preventing you from getting started. And most of the time the answer I get, let's see, I don't know if anybody else is going to say this, but I'm just overwhelmed and I don't know where to start.
Yeah.
They may know what they want to do, but they have no idea how to get the process started. So,
yeah. And that's what Lana just said, overwhelmed by the amount to go through.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. 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 And so, you just need some tips and stuff, few little procedures, and really people can take off with that. So that's what we're here tonight, right, Patty? We're going to give them this little bit.
Absolutely. I think it will be, honestly, it's that deer in the headlights where you're like, okay, this may be the goal of where I want to end up, but how do I get from here to there? So
yeah, exactly.
Very good. All right. So do you want to start with your first tip?
Yes.
All right. So I'll put up the first tip.
Okay. So when you start thinking about getting your photos ready, you don't even have to get them out yet. You just need to think about, I mean, we all have digital photos mostly. And so you just think about how they might be organized now. How do you want to organize them? And then you can kind of go from there. So if you have a good digital system already set up, then you can follow that with the print. If you're just working with digital, it's the same kind of thing. How do you want to find your photos? That's the key thing. So you select a sorting method, which will become your folder system. So a lot of times people, especially with print, they get bogged down with dates. And dates is not necessarily a good way to go unless they're already organized by date somehow. We live in our lives doing events, birthdays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, graduations. We have a lot of these holidays. We also live by seasons. So you have 4 seasons. And so some people like to break it down. So just to give you a few ideas, you can do a year because you can maybe kind of figure it out 1 year, and then do spring, summer, fall, and winter, and then group those all together. You're not bogged down with a whole bunch of separate events. you just put those events in there. Another thing is you can do birthdays, holidays, and lump those together. And you can also do like by person, family members, that sort of thing. So you think of categories and themes of why are you taking your pictures, and how do you want to organize them? And everyone takes pictures differently. So they take them for different reasons. And vacations are big. So you would always have like a vacation folder. So
yeah,
that's tip number one, is just kind of think about, if I want to find any of my photos, what words would I look for? What topic? And that really helps you get started in thinking, you know, folder wise, how you're going to find your pictures. And then you just create those folders by name, year. You can do whatever you want.
Okay, so when they're doing their sorting method, how would you suggest, what would be the first thing, an area or a room or a space? How would you set up their space?
Yeah, if you have a dedicated area, like you have an extra room, or you even have a dining room or something where you can set up a big table, then when you start getting all of your pictures out, you can start going through and you can see what you have. Because you're going to have probably albums, you're going to have loose photos, you're going to have photos in processing envelopes, you're going to have stuff from other relatives, maybe your parents or whatever. So if you can have a big table that you can just start with and lay everything out, and then you can, select what you want to start with. And then when you're done, you only want to give yourself maybe an hour or two to do this, because it's exhausting, quite honestly. Unless you get on a roll, then just keep going. But otherwise, then put a sheet over everything when you're done for the day. And that way it keeps all the dust and the dirt off. If you have pets, it keeps all the pet hair and, things like that. And hopefully the kids are not getting in it. So yeah, dedicated area really helps a lot. If you don't have that, then just, pick a small little part of a room where you can just bring a few things out and work through those at a time.
Yeah, because the nice thing is if you've got that designated space, Karen says, hello, Karen's on. If you have the designated space, you don't have to spend that extra time each time getting it out and putting it away. So it can just stay out and you can work on it in those small increments when you can.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All right. So should we go
Definitely
on?
Helps.
Yeah, absolutely. Go on to tip 2.
Yeah. Yeah. Tip number 2.
Oh,
so this is what we got started on that. That's good. So now we've already got it established that, get as big of an area as you can, a table, whatever. And then you want to have a trash can. I'm telling you this, you got to have a trash can or a trash bag or an extra box, whatever, because you're going to want to get rid of photos. You cannot keep them all. You don't want them all. If you're going to get them scanned, which I hope you do, then, you don't want to pay for all of those. So when you're going through, oh gosh, remember, we always got duplicates. We always got a second set for free during a certain time period there. Oh gosh, everybody has those. And so, if you have a hard time throwing some of these things away, put it in a pile and gift them to another family member.
Great idea.
If they don't want them, they could throw them away, but you don't know. You don't know it. So it's easier to do it that way. But yeah, you're going to have a lot of these. And another thing that kind of goes along with this is, decide and that you're not going to keep every single picture. So you are going to purge. I've had a customer who started off with, I think he said 7,000 photos. And he had maybe 2,500 in the end that he wanted to scan.
Okay.
So he's once he started going, he's like, "Oh gosh, we don't need that, we don't need 10 of the same mountain, and we don't need pictures of the zoo animals and different things." So once you get started, you'll see that you do need a trash can.
Yeah. Well, and the at least when we have the printed photos, we besides the duplicates, 2 or 3, depending on how many you got of each one.
Yeah, yeah.
Or because I have 4 kids, so I know that I got a copy for each of them.
Oh,
And some of them,
right,
and
right.
I didn't divide them all out at the time, so they're the envelopes are 2 inches thick when you get them all back.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Mary said, "Totally agree to trash scenic photos. They mean nothing to anyone who wasn't there." So,
That's exactly right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is, if it is a place that does mean something to you and you want to keep the scenic photos, put it a note with it. So when you go to whether you scrapbook it or you put it in a frame, so it has a note with it. That makes all the difference in the world. So
Yeah. And, some of the places I find this interesting because I've seen, thousands and thousands of vacation photos. And I've been to some of these places and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. I remember going there. And that place doesn't exist anymore. And so there are some things that are kind of historical in a way that it it may not mean anything to them as far as like family or whatever, but it can be very interesting and informational about, hey, this is where people went 75 years ago, or something. And I find that kind of interesting when I see some of those, and it's like, ooh, I wish I could keep that picture because yeah, I went there and it doesn't exist. Yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't
So
even have thought of that. Well, and same thing goes, I guess, with like cars and people take
yes.
pictures of cars and motorcycles and houses or whatever. But the same thing is if there's not a note that goes with them,
Right.
they're not going to mean anything to when you pass them along wherever they're going to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So, all right, very good. So, all right, you ready to go on to tip 3?
Yeah.
All right, tip 3.
Okay. Sort quickly. Um, this is kind of this can be a hard thing for a lot of people because yeah. You get distracted, you get involved, you start remembering. It's like, oh, I remember being there, and oh my, you'll be talking to yourself, and so it's just like, oh, this is so great. But for some people, getting started can be very difficult because they've lost a family member, a sibling, a child, a spouse. I recently had a client that her motivation for getting the photo scanned was because one of her kids was having their first child and he wanted all of his pictures so that when his kid is growing up, they can compare and see and, all this. Well, she'd been wanting to do this for years, but what was holding her back was that she had 3 kids. One of her kids had become like the wayward child and gotten lost along their way in life. And it was too painful for her to even look at the pictures. So it's easy to say, oh, yeah, just sit down and start sorting quickly. But you have to get to an emotional state sometimes if you have that you're dealing with. And for her, she was able to get past it because her other child, wanted these, and that was so strong for her that she was able to overcome that and get started. And then she found that it wasn't so hard, and it was fun to see all the memories of him being a happy child and everything. So, but once you do get started, getting in the right frame of mind, and say, I'm not going to get caught up in all of these. I can look at these later after I start purging. And that's when you can sit down and really enjoy them. But I always tell people think of the pictures as like a deck of cards. So in tip one, you've decided how you're going to sort. So you're going to sort maybe by child, and then you're going to sort by vacation, and then you're going to do holidays. So let's say those are your first categories that you're going to start with. Then as you start going through the pictures, you just, go click, 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 put them in the piles like a deck of cards. You're not looking at them for the memories at that moment. You're looking at them to see what category do they fit in, and it really helps people keep on track. My clients have come back and told me that really did help them, and to keep in mind that you only want the best of the best. Uh, I always give this example because it's the most common one I see, and that is little kids and their birthdays. And there's like 10 of just blowing out the candles. There could be 15 with cake all over their face, opening the presents. They're all cute, and you can actually keep some of those. I'm not saying you have to get rid of all those, but from a scanning and preservation perspective, you don't want to pay to have all of those scanned, but you could certainly keep some of the others and put them in an album, or just put them in a archival safe box to hold on to them. But you don't want to pay to have all 10 and all 15 of those. You only need a couple that represent the best. And like, I don't know, my mom always did this, and I see this a lot too. It's the first day of school, which some kids have already had. They have their first day of school photos, and you may take 5 shots and one of them is good, and that's enough. That's all people want to see down the road is, oh, this is me at 7 years old. This is, or that was great grandpa when he, went off to school and he was 7. So just kind of keep that in mind. And you can do a high level sort. I tell people this too. If you do this quickly and you don't think too much about it, you can go back through those piles again, and then you can start seeing, duplicates, or you might start seeing these are almost identical. Which one of these do I want? And then, and Patty had brought this up too about, like cars. It's telling a story. It's not just a picture, but it's telling a story. So you want to keep pictures of the cars that you had, pets. That's meaningful. And honestly, 100 years from now, people are going to look back and say, oh, look, they had such a love for pets. I do too, things like that. You see a lot of common things that go on. So, yeah, think about the story. And one thing I always like, because I find these fun, is when people remodel their houses and you have a before and you have an after picture. Mm-hmm. That is meaningful to a lot of people because it shows all those trends, the avocado colored refrigerators, the clocks, the stoves, it's really interesting. So always keep some pictures if you have of the house inside and out. Anything that will tell a story about how you lived your life as a person and as a family. So that includes careers. People want to know what did they do?
Yeah.
Were they an architect? Were they a business owner? Were they a police officer? Show pictures to show, how you lived your life as well, and not just all celebrations.
Yeah, that's true. Good point. The one of the things when I'm working on is and I collect the pictures partly for my family, and my uncle does a bunch of it, but with the genealogy, and you and I've talked about this, is when you look back you only see a few photos of what have been passed down over the years, or they've kept the small amounts. Um, but the really cool thing, and I keep saying this just because it's so important, it's because what I'm realizing is the photos that were passed down from my husband's family, um, the older family photos where that generation is no longer here, they basically took care of making sure that all of the names were listed, and that kind of, it's, I know that's going back after the fact, so not during this sort. The sort is, so I'm jumping ahead here, so let me come back here a little bit. So with the sort, um, that is a huge thing that I think I have had the hardest time getting past, is because I'm one of those people, when I sit down with my photos, that is the time that I want to sit and look through them and remember and
Right.
things that they've done. But to do that quickly, knowing that I'm going to be able to go back and that I'm going to do something with these. These are not going to be just sorted to just sit in a box. So I guess my next question, we'll come back to the legacy stuff later. So after they've sorted and they're ready to, why are we having them sort? Why are we having them get them down? What is the goal after they do?
Well, the goal is to then get them preserved, and then our if you're going to keep them, which I recommend, keeping at least the older ones. A lot of people just want to get rid of everything, but you don't want to get rid of those, heritage legacy photos. But yeah, the goal is to have these categories. So then you get them scanned. And when you get them back and you put them into folders, then that's something that I offer. That when I scan them in, I scan them into the folder that you name. You can name the folder whatever you want. And then that way, when you get them back, they're in those. So if you've done it by kids, each kid can get their own folder, or at least they can be shared. So then everyone has all the pictures of all the kids, and they're not all just grouped together. And what are you going to do? Now you can just scan them all and go back and identify them and group them later. But a lot of people find it much easier with the printed to just go ahead and do it physically ahead of time. And then because you've named them, when I do that, the file names also will include your folder name. So then when you get them back, my clients are just like, oh my gosh, it's been so easy. If I want to find a picture, all the pictures of our Colorado vacation, I just put in Colorado, or I put in vacation, Colorado vacation, or the year, whatever it is. And they all come up. I don't have to hunt for them. If I separate them, I can still find them. And then most importantly, it's information that you've left behind for other people, because it's some of that information is in the file name. And when you share them, people really appreciate knowing, what the heck is this picture about? They don't even know, And so a photo without information attached to it is usually pretty useless. Once the main people have passed on, who's going to know 50 years from now who this photo, who's in this photo? Why did they even save this photo? I don't even know where this is at. Yeah. So that's one of the key things, is to do it ahead of time, is then you get back a very organized digital collection without having to do anything further if you didn't want to.
Right. And so, and the option of being able to put that digitally is that when you share it with people, you can share it through a flash drive or a online service or a backup that way. And I know we'll talk about that. But you can also merge those with your digital photos that have already been organized. And so when she's talking about, putting names with it in places, that's the metadata that some of the photos, your digital ones, will already have embedded in them. If you have your location turned on, it will already say where the picture was taken, which is, some people do and some people don't. So it kind of depends.
Yeah.
But having those together, the printed photos and the, because I know my kids are half and half. I have a bunch of printed photos, and then till about year 2000, 2003. And then I started making the gradual switch over to digital. and then I don't have as many printed photos past that point unless I took my digitals and had them printed, which I did that as well. But
Yeah.
it's that crossover. And so I've got some that have the actual information just that I wrote down and kept track of and put in scrapbooks, or now going on for the digital. So I'm trying to merge my
Yeah.
collections, my large
Yeah.
collections. So I'm curious. So the people that are on here now, I'm curious, and maybe you can tell us if you have both printed and digital photos that you are trying to organize, or is it mostly one or the other? So let's see if people want to let us know here. Karen had said that she has 28,000 photos and 380 videos on her phone.
Oh, just on the phone.
So, and one of the things, and I know Sharon and I talked about this while we're waiting to see if people have mostly printed or digital that they're wanting to organize. Um, was that, yeah, both.
Yeah.
So, um, the photos on your phone, we take so many pictures on the phone. And there was a number, I think I posted it somewhere. It's like one or almost 2 trillion photos. I'm trying to remember the number of photos on the phone. And when you're sitting at a, a doctor's appointment or in a line waiting to go somewhere, pull up some of those photos on your phone. And I've gotten better at doing this, but I'm not there yet. I'm working on it. Everybody's a work in progress.
Yeah.
But the ones that you've snapped to show someone that stayed on your phone and you don't want them anymore, you can go through and select and already get them off, delete them and have them done. So yeah, so I'm seeing both, mostly digital. Okay. So when we're talking about the digital, the reason that you're scanning them in so you have both the print into the digital, so the digital can be shared and we can get metadata marked. And then why is it also important to have that digital copy? Cindy says printed. Okay. So why is it important to keep those printed ones and kind of slide them over into the digital format? Or what do you do with them once you get the digital?
Yeah, the printed, there's a couple of things that you can do. One of them is you can take the best photos, the favorite ones, and you put them in an archival safe photo album so that you can actually have them saved. You can pull that out and look at them. That's one of the things with digital, you just can't pull something out and look at it.
Yeah.
With print, you can. There you go.
Yeah.
Yep. You can put a photo book. You can do an album.
Yeah.
So photo books are awesome. And oh gosh, there's like so many different ways that you can do. I mean, I always do a vacation one.
Yeah.
Because I like to go back and I like to look at that. You can celebrate a year. I had a client. That's what she did. She made a photo book for every year. Do you have one of those?
I have a vacation. What?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because you want to see that. And, the sad thing is that even with printed photos, people didn't really pull them out unless they put them in an album and then, they took it off the shelf or something. Mm-hmm. Digital, I mean, is it really a thrill to just say, oh, I want to look at my vacation photos on my phone and this little tiny thing? But yeah, if you get a photo book printed, mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes it really special. So there's so many things you can do once you get your printed photos digital. You can do slideshows. I did one where it was a friend, and he was turning 90. So I scanned all these photos throughout his years, oh, wow. The most special events, and I put a video slideshow, well, not a video together. Mm-hmm. And I had music and I had sound effects, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But you can't do that if you don't have them in digital format.
Yeah, and that's a very good point. And like Lisa had said, I have thousands that are printed, but would like to know how to have all digital for safekeeping. Yeah. Well,
yes.
Because you have a story about how you help someone that had their printed photos and they hadn't done anything to protect them yet.
Yeah, this is kind of a sad story. It's
Yeah.
pretty happy ending, but it was an elderly couple. They were in the area, Kansas City, Missouri, and apparently the city in the block that they lived in, the sewer pipes were needing replaced, and they were not replacing them, and so they kept getting sewer backup in their basement, and it wasn't too much, I guess, each time, and so they didn't really worry about it. But this couple had all of their family photos, thousands, in plastic bins, the big plastic bins. Great idea, really protecting them, and they survived the few inches or whatever that they had in there before. This time it flooded. It was feet. Ugh. So what I learned, because I had ServPro call me, they were looking for somebody to help save these pictures, and he told me that when you only, I can't even remember how many inches it is, but it's not very many, and plastic bins like that will float and then they tip over. And that's what happened. So they thought they were safe in the basement because they were in plastic bins and because they had survived all these other little mini floods, so to speak, but not this time. And so it was very difficult. They took all these photos and they put them on tables, separate them as much as they could. They pulled all these out. The family kind of went through and picked out like what they thought they could, pulling them out of photo albums and everything. And then they dried. Well, unless they're dried properly, they curl up bad, like tight. So he asked me, could I scan these? Could I save these? And I'm like, ooh, I don't know. They've been in sewer water. So he's like, I know, and I can't find anybody else. And so I started looking in this, but to make a long story short, there was nobody else that wanted to touch these. And so the advice that was given to me was if I was going to do this, the bacteria and the mold was a real problem and I could get really sick from it. So I had to wear the hazmat, the Tyvek suit, the N95, everything. I had to be completely covered.
Yeah.
And so
what those are now.
yeah, I know. It's like, hey, I've already kind of done this. And so I did take it on because they were in their 90s. It was all their photos. And I just thought, okay, God, you're going to have to protect me. I did everything I can. So, but then once I did that and I saw the photos, because he brought 9 boxes of photos. And they were just curled. Some of them were curled up, just like a rolled up cigarette. And I tried so many things. I had brilliant ideas, about how I was going to scan these. Yeah. None of them worked. But I finally was able to get them to lay flat enough. And I had someone else help me because I couldn't do all that. But I set it up in the garage on a big table, by the way, that I covered when I was done for the day. And I just sorted through. I tried to get them flat. I sorted through them just kind of like I told you, kind of tried to match up as best as I could and got them scanned. So out of about 3,000 photos and items, I should say, that they gave me, I did about, I think it was 15 or 1,700. I'm not kidding. This was weird. There were about 1,000 duplicate and just plain bad blurry photos. Oh, wow. So it was crazy. So don't think your photos are safe if they're in a basement, even if they're in a bin, which, I have to admit, I had some and I didn't know that. So I pulled those out, obviously. And don't put them in an attic. Those are just 2 bad places for obvious reasons. What's recommended by the experts is on a main level in a bedroom in a closet, and not in a closet that's in a bathroom. A lot of people have these big, master bedroom, bath, and all, and their closets in their bathroom. Well, no, got to find someplace else. So because that is the safest, the humidity level is usually best. It's drier, and they're protected as much as possible from dirt and dust, and of course, the extreme heat and water, and yeah.
Photos are susceptible to a lot of different. I mean,
Yeah.
I know, with photo organizers, the tools of the trade are gloves and things so the oils on your hands don't get on the photos or on the negatives or slides, or depending, on what your pictures are. But yeah, we can spend so much time on this, and I know we'll try to kind of cut things down here or wrap it up. But
Oh, can I say something real quick?
absolutely,
I learned this. I'm gonna share this. You said the pictures are susceptible to a lot of different
yeah.
things, and the environment, encompasses a lot, but bugs. Okay, and silverfish. Okay, I learned silverfish love photos. So many houses have silverfish.
Yeah.
Well, this is from the KU people that worked at the KU Spencer Museum.
Yeah.
And they said to get this, it's by Bell Labs, Bell Labs.
Okay.
It's called Trapper Monitor Insect Traps. And that's what they recommend, that you put those where you have your photos, because then it catches the silverfish before they get into your photos and eat them away.
All right. So tell me that one more time. Bell Labs.
Yeah. It's called Trapper, Trapper, Monitor Insect Traps.
All right.
And I need to get some myself, because I have silverfish in this house, even though we have it professionally sprayed outside for bugs. I don't know how you get rid of all silverfish, but
yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
All right.
We
So
have, yeah, I got silverfish, and my photos are in my closet on the middle level, but I'm like, ooh, I'm missing the bug part. So
that's a new one for me, to help protect from silverfish. All right, I put that in the comments so that people can see that as well.
yeah.
So kind of wrapping things up. So the main thing is kind of figure out what you want to do with your photos, figure out how you want to sort, do your first sort of doing a quick sort and getting them kind of set out without trying to go down memory lane
Yeah.
with each one. And if you can get a table or an area, even in the side of a room, if you can't take the whole room, just a table on the side of the room where you can work at it, leave it, and then come back to it. That just, it saves so much time, and I used to do the scrapbooks all the time. And so I would always, when you go to take them out, you have to take all your supplies out. And so with sorting, whether you use, and I wanted to show an example of one of the archival boxes, whether you have something like this or something else, you just want to make sure that something's safe for your photos. You can protect them. And then there are so many cool things that you can do if you need ideas to help you, whether it's a book, like I was showing you the vacation album.
And Patty makes beautiful photo books. So if you want a beautiful photo book, you go to Patty.
So vacation, yeah. So vacation ones, just to kind of keep track. But this is what I had a friend or a client do, is they took their legacy photos and from their genealogy, included their family photos and their favorite recipes, and they put together a recipe book. But
that's awesome.
She kind of gave her family, so I'm kind of giving Stephanie a little.
Yeah.
So it went from where, and she did the. She has their pictures from her family growing up,
Yeah.
kids' photos, and then I'm trying to see if I can find one. So they put their favorite family recipes in with pictures that they've actually made. And so it's kind of all woven together. They're just a crazy group, crazy amount of things that you can do. Wall photos,
Yeah.
wall albums, but you take all these amazing photos, figure out what you want to do so that you can share them with the people that you love, your friends, your family, however you want to do it. It's kind of
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And be sure to back everything up. Once you get things scanned and all your digital, make sure you have it's the 3-2-1 backup. 3 copies, 2 different types of media. So, like a computer, a flash drive, an external drive, and then one is offsite. So, that can be at a friend's in another state or family member um, in the cloud. So, backup. We've heard too many stories, right, about people that didn't back it up and they lost everything.
so. And
Trust nothing.
yeah. So this September 1st is actually the kickoff to Save Your Photos Month. So I will be posting, and I don't know, Sharon, if you're going to be posting different
Yeah.
tips throughout the month. So stay tuned. And if you've got questions, I will put Sharon's information and my information on my Facebook page so you can get a hold of either one of us and ask questions. Um, Cindy said, great group. So excited for wine tasting in 2 weeks. Yes, Cindy is one
Yeah.
will be going for the wine tasting. So it will be very fun. Lisa, I have boxes. Can I bring them over? I may have to come to you, Lisa. I've seen her boxes. Um, it's fun to do it together, though, too. So that's kind of helpful sometimes is to have somebody to keep you on track.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you get a sibling, a friend, anybody to help you along.
Yes. All right. Very good. All right. Can you repeat the 1, 2, 3? Yes.
Yeah, the 3 you have 3 backups. You have 2 that are different. You can't have them like on 2 computers. It'd have to be like a computer, an external drive, a flash drive. DVDs just don't really work anymore, so you're kind of stuck with that.
Unless you
You know,
get DVD readers, but yeah.
yeah. And they hold a small amount, so you'd have a lot of DVDs. But there's the hard drives and the solid state drives now, so you could even try to get a solid state and then another kind. And then the last one has to be offsite, so that can be a cloud. It can be a family member. You don't want to have it someone here because if a tornado strikes, it could strike them too. So just in another farther away in a city or another state. And, if you're going to have a lot of family photos, you could share it with them anyway, but they can be a backup. Oh, and always, if you can, try to get your best ones that you keep in a folder or something and put it on a drive that you keep by on your bedside table or someplace where you can hang a flash drive or a small drive in case of a fire or something. This is highly recommended. If something happens, you can grab that and be on your way out. But if you do your other backups with the cloud or offsite, you're covered.
Yeah. And so there are some great ways that have those services already available, whether it's Google Drive or Amazon Photos, and if you're an Amazon Prime member, Amazon
Yeah.
Photos is actually included, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that for the longest time. And so now that's how I know how many photos I have is because I get reports. How many photos that you have.
Yeah. Yeah. And they have unlimited for photos.
Yeah. Videos, if you go above a certain amount of videos, then you will have to pay a little extra a month. But it's worth it for me to have those. I know where they're safe. So that's one of my places that I have the different offsite.
Yeah, I use Amazon Photos too as a backup. One of them. I have several.
Yeah, well then
I don't even trust one cloud service.
Well, and then and I know we're getting along on time. One of my favorite things though is the facial recognition, or if you're
yeah.
looking for, okay, what year did we have that car? And you put in car and it pulls up all the cars. I'm like, it's got some really cool things. But okay, we can go
Yeah.
on and on and on and on forever.
It could.
Watch for tips that Sharon and I will be posting this month on. Are you posting Facebook, or where will you be
Yeah.
posting? Okay.
Facebook. Yeah.
All right. Very good. So I will be giving her information and my information in the comments after we're off. And that way you can get a hold of either one of us. And hopefully you guys have a great month. And one more
Yeah.
time, I'm going to put this up. 2 weeks virtual wine tasting. I am going to be getting order forms out probably tomorrow, so people can order their wines and have it either shipped to them or they can pick them up, however, depending on where you live. And that way you can participate whether you are in person or through the computer. You'll get to taste with us. There will be options. So very good.
Yeah.
Hey, Sharon, thank you very much for all
Thank
the
you. It was
and
fun. I always enjoy sharing tips.
you have an incredible amount of knowledge, and you've been doing this for a while. So you've seen all sorts of different stories and different, sadly good,
Yeah.
but some great tips. So thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you for asking me.
You're welcome. And everyone, thank you very much
And
for.
yeah. Thank you all.
All right. Have a great night. See you.
Good night.